Ladies and gentlemen, the Newton Nomadic Theater presents Story Slam.
So about 18 years ago, the phone rang one night, and it was our friend Zini. She's calling up, and she says, "How would you like to go to India?" And it turned out she had arranged for her to swap her little apartment in Manhattan for this big, sprawling apartment in New Delhi. So off we went, my wife and I and Zini, off to India. We'd never been, and it was wild. We got there. We spent a couple of weeks in New Delhi and traveling around there. And every day, like, you go out the door and you just see things and hear things and spectacles and smells, and just, it was wild. Like everything you love in a foreign vacation. It was just, amazing. So at the end of the 2 weeks, Zini wanted to go to a place called Varanasi, and I had never heard of it, but a friend of hers, told her about it. So it's a couple hundred miles away. It's on the Ganges River. So we flew to this place. We get off the airport. We get a taxi, into the hotel in the city. And we pull out of the airport onto the big road, and like every big road in India, it's just mayhem. It's like cars and cows and kids and buses and tricycles. It's just everything. It's like mayhem. So we're driving down the road, and the cab driver starts being like giving us a tour guide thing, And he says, Varanasi is a very ancient city, many thousands years old. And when you die, you must come to Varanasi. You bring the dead body to the Ganges River. Everybody, they bring the dead body. And then all of a sudden he says, "Oh, dead body." And he points out the window, and this car going by has got this bundle on the roof. And you realize, oh my God, that's a dead body. It's wrapped up, but it's a corpse. A corpse is like tied onto the roof of somebody's car going by. And it's like 85, 90 degrees. It's the middle of the day, and there's somebody driving by with a corpse in the roof. And he continues and he says, if you're a Hindu, for wherever you live, if you're 50 miles away, 100 miles away, you bring the dead body. No matter what, you must bring the dead body to the Ganges River to be burned. And dead body. And he put another one's going by, and there's a second, and it's like, there's a corpse. And I'm like, I've seen all these things in the last few weeks, but this kind of freaks me out. It's like, this is just like too much. So we get to the hotel, and we check in. It's this modest little, Indian hotel. And we check in, we go up to the room, and we get in the room, and all of a sudden something happens like totally out of character for me. My wife's got a great imagination. She can kind of go off on flights of fantasy sometimes. I'm an engineer. I tend to be very kind of grounded, but my brain just spun out of control. I get into this hotel, and I smell something, and it's like not a chemical smell. And it's not strong. It's not a really, but it's a very definite smell. It's kind of earthy, and it's not pleasant. And I don't. I mean, to this day, I don't know. But I get it in my head that what I'm smelling is a corpse. In the hotel, one of those cars. It could be in the next room. I'm smelling decomposing human flesh, and it's like I cannot stay here. I cannot stay. Zini and Mari are rolling around. Come, relax. I can barely smell it, and I was like, no, we got to move. So we move. We move to another hotel, and they're, he's getting crazy. So next morning, we set the alarm very, very early. A friend of Zini said we had to do this, and we go to the river before dawn. We get down to the river. We find a guy with a boat, and ask him if he can take us out on the river as the sun rises over the Ganges. So we get in this boat, and the guys start paddling. And as we're going off the shore, the sun's just coming up on the far side of the river. And you look back, and it's a sight I will never forget. Every morning at sunrise, the people of Varanasi come to the river to bathe. Hundreds of people pouring down the sides of the river, down the ghats, and wading into the water. And it's like, wow, this is pretty amazing. The guy starts paddling out. And then our boat guy becomes the tour guide. And he says, Varanasi is an ancient city. And he says, people come when they die, they bring the dead bodies to the Ganges. It's a holy river, and you must bring the dead body. Poor man, they burn the dead body in the factory. And he points, and on the shore, there's this big building, and you realize it's a crematorium. He said, rich man, rich man burn dead body in wood fire. And he points, and down the river, there's 2 wood fires on the shore, big bonfires, and you realize those are funeral pyres. And one of them, you can see like a bone sticking up out of it. And you go, wow, this is amazing. 3 people, no burn dead body. Holy man, no burn. little baby, no burn dead body. Mother with no burn body. Take dead body, wrapping it in cloth. Put rocks in and tie with ropes. Take the dead body to the middle of the Ganges. Boom, blub, 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 down to the bottom. 1 day, 2 day, the fish, they eat the rope. Then the body, 3 day, 4 day, the ropes, the body float to the top. The dead body go down the Ganges River. Holy river, no bacteria. So at this point, I'm thinking, this is the most bizarre, weird, crazy, insane thing I've ever. This is like places, I am a long, long, long way from home, and this is just nuts. But you know, a couple of years later, I found myself in Ireland, and walking out my mother-in-law's front door with her dead body in a box on my shoulder. And we walked out the door, and we walked down the city streets. And all of her neighbors came out their door to watch us carry that dead body past. And they all bowed their head, the last time they would see it. And then since then, my brother and my mother and my father, they've all died. And we took their dead bodies and we filled them with chemicals to preserve them. And we put them in a beautiful box. And we invited all our friends and neighbors to come see the dead body for the last time before we buried them in the ground. And I guess when I realized, I didn't know at the time, but on that river that day, it was the first time I realized death is a weird and strange thing, and no matter where you go in the world, we get weird and bizarre and strange ways to deal with it. And the other thing I learned that day was a wonderful, beautifully blunt phrase I still use now, and I always say it with just a hint of an Indian accent, and that's dead buddy.